Part 100. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 991. Similarly, the performance of the sixth group also raised the performance of the entire 33rd team. It became popular in the dispatch team, and even Zhou Ben and Li Na benefited from it. After the event, everyone gathered in the restaurant of the transport ship to have a party to celebrate the excellent completion of the mission. At the same time, they also celebrated the arrival of the destination Quafu Star. The team members did not skimp, bought a lot of food, fruits, drinks, snacks, etc., and began to eat and drink. Some team members with special skills will also perform some programs, such as singing and dancing. It's a pity that drinking is not allowed, otherwise many people can have more fun. As the leader of the most outstanding group in the team, Xiaoming was also strongly required to perform a program. What should Xiaoming do? I can't dance, I can't sing out of tune, I don't have any talent. Xiaoming had no choice but to perform a set of Nanshan Palm method to get through. Afterwards, the deputy team leader Gu Weiner sang a song, and it turned out to be quite good. One thunderous applause. Most of these replicas are controlled by real people, but more than half of the controllers are not real people. But this has made Xiaoming very happy. There is a feeling of nostalgia. At the same time, good news came from the neighboring Yandi galaxy. On August 19, Xiaoming met a master of the local forces in the Yandi galaxy, the 6th level Death Knight Delaman. Xiaoming also sent a 7-star shadow clone to follow Delaman to visit his boss, the 7th level undead mage Brahmin. Now, after walking for more than 10 days, they have approached the core area of Brahmin's forces. Just when the 33rd team was doing collective activities, Delaman and his team encountered an emergency. A 7th level bone dragon attacked. Master Zhang, be careful, this is the bone dragon Bartley. Delaman saw the shadow in the sky and immediately reminded Xiaoming's 7-star shadow clone loudly. Flying at an altitude of 1,000 meters, Bartley also discovered Delaman and his group of undead below. It stands to reason that although he has an advantage in strength, it is not easy to fight against the army. But this time Bartley was entrusted by someone and had to make a test. So the bone dragon turned and swooped down. The target was Xiaoming's clone. At this time, only his guards were left under the leadership of Delaman. The 2 necromancers who greeted Xiaoming before were now only one, and the other undead had gone back to their homes. Hundreds of 4th level skeleton cavalry and a dozen 5th level death knights were not weak. But the problem was that everyone was close combat, and there were very few long-range ones. There were a few sparse bone arrows and bone spears, and the flying bone dragon did not retreat at all. The eyes of the undead naturally gathered on Xiaoming's clone. Aren't you the clone of the undead great mage? Show your skills. Xiaoming distinguished the life energy of Delaman and Bartley a little, and immediately knew what was going on. Bartley, a 7th level bone dragon, was able to appear in the core area of Brahmin. If he was not Brahmin's subordinate, he should be a friend. The sudden attack on him was probably ordered by Brahmin, and the purpose was nothing more than to see how strong he was. Brahmin did not inform Delaman and others in advance, but Delaman guessed it himself. His subordinates did not have such a high IQ. Bartley is a huge bone dragon with a length of more than 30 meters. Its strength is about the middle of the 7th level, which is an ordinary A level. The eyes of the 7 shadow clone flashed red, and the 2 Mangekyo Sherinon showed their power, summoning a huge Susanoo, holding the Claude 6 style great sword. Bartley had already swooped down, and was shocked when he suddenly saw such a huge thing. He didn't want to collide with something that was obviously an energy body, and he was unlucky. Just as he flapped his bone wings to slow down in a hurry, Susanoo's great sword swung over his chest, and hit it and sent it flying backwards. After the attack, Xiaoming felt that Susanoo's combat effectiveness had obviously increased. But he didn't understand why. In fact, This is because Xiaoming is a civil servant in the underworld, and his soul and mental power are receiving another form of strengthening from the underworld. The total amount has not increased, but the core essence has been improved. Susanoo is inextricably linked to mental power, so it is understandable that it is enhanced. This is still an indirect skill. If Xiaoming uses other mental power skills, he will probably feel it more clearly. Bartley was chopped off by a sword, and 2 of his ribs were broken. He was horrified. What is this? I have never heard that the undead mage has this skill. Fortunately, it is only a minor injury. He hesitated for a moment, thinking that this did not seem to test the opponent's strength. Should he have a few more rounds? He couldn't take Bremen's reward for nothing. But the next second, the dedicated bone dragon was stunned. The purple giant's big sword actually flew towards him, and it split into 6 swords of different shapes in the middle, attacking him from different angles. Bartley quickly swung his tail and flew up into the sky. The 6 swords, controlled by the sword controlling technique, chased closely, and their speed was faster than Bartley. Ding ding dang dang, in less than half a minute, Bartley had been chopped dozens of times. The scattered clawed 6 styles were sharper, and he had many bone fragments chopped off. This was no longer fun. Although it was not fatal to him, the loss would be too great if he continued to fight. Bartley did not dare to stay, and urged the secret method to speed up. He flew far away and fled without looking back. Susanoo was stunned for a moment, and then disappeared with clawed 6 styles. Delaman and other undead around the clone were all stunned. It is not surprising that the clone of Mr. John can defeat a bone dragon. This is the clone of the great magician. The 7th level bone dragon is certainly not its opponent. However, the ability used by this clone is too strange. It has never been seen on Nuwa Star. Among the high-level reincarnations on Pangu Star, there are not many people who can use Susanoo, but there can be dozens of them. However, even if they come to Nuwa Star, they can't give the clone a Mangekyo Sharinan, so Susanoo has never appeared on Nuwa Star. Xiaoming learned in the Chu star system that the Yanhuang star system seems to be within the scope of the conscription of the reincarnation space. He has encountered a Zerg giant scorpion with the identity of a reincarnation before. In theory, it seems that there should be natives of the Yanhuang star system who are recruited as reincarnations by the reincarnation space. Unfortunately, the specific situation is not very clear. Moreover, Nuwa Star is now the world of the undead, and it is unknown whether the undead will be recruited by the reincarnation space. Even if the undead become reincarnators, it seems unlikely that they will obtain the bloodline limit of the Uchiha clan. The difference is too big. Xiaoming thought that he could try it out if he had the chance in the future to see if he could invite the natives of the Yanhuang 3-star systems to be reincarnators. As soon as this thought came up, Xiaoming's forehead was filled with the word. He couldn't even enter the reincarnation space now, so what good things were he still thinking about? Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 992. What will happen when the civil servants of the underworld face the undead? Xiaoming is not sure, but Xiaoming is very interested to know. From the origin, it seems that there should be a connection. Shouldn't the underworld be in charge of the undead? Shouldn't his status be higher? But now when facing the undead, it seems that there is no difference. Even the 6th level Delaman and the 7th level Bartley have no special performance towards Xiaoming's clone. At least, Delaman's reaction before and now is the same. It seems that the so-called identity of the civil servants of the underworld does not play a big role. Xiaoming predicts that it may be necessary to come in person to work, maybe he will have to wait until he is completely inaugurated. If both conditions are met, there should be changes. Soon, the huge skeleton castle gradually revealed its shape in the dark sky. It is indeed a big city. Outside the gate, Bremen set up a huge battle array to welcome Xiaoming's clone, with more than 10 bone dragons flying and circling in the sky. Tens of thousands of undead soldiers above level 4 were neatly arranged on both sides of the road. Hundreds of undead warhorses pulled a huge skeleton throne with 2 seats side by side. On one of the seats sat a level 7 undead mage, Brahmin. He bowed to Xiao Ming's clone and made a gesture to invite him to take a seat. The clone was not polite either, and moved to the seat in an instant, greeted Brahmin, and sat down with each other. The 2 people entered the city on the skeleton throne. The throne was so big that it took a long time just to turn around. Maybe Brahmin had made publicity in advance, and countless undead residents crowded on both sides of the main road to admire the majesty of the undead great mage. Brahmin did not say that the visitor was a clone. Anyway, most of the undead could not understand. And those who could understand would admire the great mage even more. You should know that low-level clones are very common among the undead. But it is still very difficult for a magician to refine a high-level clone. It is not as cheap as the 7 shadow clone. The appearance of a high-level clone does represent the powerful strength of the original body. Although Xiao Ming's strength should be different from what they think. Having said that, the 7 shadow clone can be said to be an exclusive ability developed by Xiao Ming, which is actually quite high-end. Receiving such a grand welcome, Xiao Ming suspected that Brahmin probably had ulterior motives. At least after Bartley returned in defeat, he paid more attention to it. Brahmin City finally has the style of the main city of the undead. There are huge buildings everywhere, exuding a strong breath of death. On both sides of the main road, countless undead of all kinds are worshipping. Skeletons, ghosts, black warriors, liches, death knights, etc., and there are many undead arms that Xiao Ming does not know. The most powerful building in the city should be Brahmin's undead magic tower, but that is the core of the magician and cannot be opened to others casually. Moreover, ordinary magicians would not easily enter other people's magic towers. Brahmin only received Zhang Xiaoming's clone in the city lord's mansion. The reception hall of the city lord's mansion is also very magnificent, as big as a football stadium and tens of meters high. There are hundreds of undead soldiers guarding the hall, and there are several low-level bone dragons flying in the air for inspection. The major generals of the Brahmin forces are stationed in other places, and the outer defense is also very important. In the main city, except for the Death Knight Delaman who came with Xiao Ming, only his few guards have reached the 6th level. Brahmin and Xiao Ming communicated a few words in the spirit, and then asked about the reason why the great magician walked in the world. Is it because the death harvest has been completed? If so, are all the legendary great magicians going to come out of retreat? How could Xiao Ming know about this kind of thing, so he had to say that he actually just sent a clone to walk in the world, and the main body did not come out of retreat. The complex research work is still in progress, and his own death harvest has only achieved a small success. Go to the world to test the effect. After hearing the answer from the clone, Brahmin's spirit was obviously relaxed a lot. When there is no tiger in the mountain, the monkey will be king. The reason why he was able to carve out land and become king on Nuwa Star with his rank 7 strength was that all the great magicians were in seclusion in the legend. In fact, Brahmin had never seen an rank 8 undead great magician, and all the news came from legends. Before this, he didn't even believe that there was an rank 8. After all, for thousands of years, no rank 7 master had ever broken through to rank 8 on Nuwa Star. Including Brahmin, many high-level undeads believed that rank 8 was just a legend. Until Xiao Ming's clone appeared. The strength of this clone was of course only at rank 7, but since a clone had reached the height of rank 7, it should be no problem for the main body to reach rank 8. Maybe even higher. What's more, this clone also used the legendary undead magic skill, Death Harvest. Before this, when Brahmin received Delaman's spiritual report, his first reaction was not to believe it. But he knew that Delaman would not lie to him. So he used magic to observe the 7 shadow clone for a long time along the way, but he didn't see anything remarkable. He thought that Delaman was deceived by this guy. So he asked the bone dragon Bartley to go and test it. The bone dragon Bartley can barely be considered half of Bremen's subordinates, after all, he lives in his territory. However, due to his strong strength, Bartley basically obeys orders but not announcements. If you ask him to send a dragon for something, you have to give him enough benefits. There was nothing Bremen could do to tolerate such an uncontrollable master sleeping beside his bed. It was not difficult to defeat Bartley, but if he wanted to kill him, he would definitely lose a large number of powerful subordinates, and it was impossible for Bremen to subdue him. We are all undead, and the bone dragon Bartley has no interest in ceding land and becoming king, so such a master is not worth worrying about. At least he will not compete with you for territory. Having such a neighbor in his own area is actually very helpful to Bremen's rule. Therefore, under the condition that Bartley obeyed him in name, Bremen acquiesced to the existence of this bone dragon. Over time, Bremen found that this was actually quite good. Bartley was simple-minded, and as long as the benefits were enough, he could help Bremen do a lot of things. After a while, their relationship became very good. This time Bartley also took some benefits, so he flew out excitedly to test Xiao Ming's clone. As a result, he hit the iron plate and was driven back home by Susanoo. Bartley was only slightly injured physically, but the mental shock was quite severe. After returning home, he hid in the dragon's lair and refused to come out again. Bremen also believed that the other party was indeed the incarnation of the great magician. A grand welcome ceremony was held. Getting benefits was secondary, at least we had to serve this gentleman well. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 993. Xiao Ming originally estimated that since his status as a master was already established, Bremen should have a lot to ask him. For example, the magic of Death Harvest, the experience of being promoted to the Grand Undead Mage, the perception of advanced undead magic, the research and development of advanced undead arms. Except for Death Harvest, he seems to be unable to do anything else. The little he knows is definitely not as rich as the foundation of Bremen, the genuine undead mage. How to deal with him? Should he give him some other supernatural power seeds, such as the Force, the Microcosm, etc.? Be careful, it's okay to give power seeds to low-level people, but this kind of high-level guy is good at drawing inferences from one example, and it is very likely that he will research some advanced skills. Is it really a good thing to make Bremen, a native of Nuwa Star, powerful? Xiao Ming must be cautious. If he really can't handle it, he will disappear automatically. However, to Xiao Ming's surprise, Bremen did ask about these things. After Xiao Ming perfunctorily refused, he looked like he had known it for a long time, so he let it go and didn't follow up. He also selected a nice cemetery near the city lord's mansion and gave it to Xiao Ming's clone to rest temporarily. After that, his original body went back to his own magic tower to practice. He actually ignored Xiao Ming's clone. He only arranged 2 undead officials to accompany the clone, and he didn't even want to send his own clone. What kind of operation is this? Xiao Ming said he was a little confused. A clone of a great master, without any restrictions, can stay or leave at will. Is this really good? Since he didn't care, Xiao Ming was not polite. This clone just walked around the city with the officials. Secretly, Xiao Ming released more than a dozen ordinary shadow clones and 3 7-star shadow clones, disguised as various undead, and explored the city. Such a huge undead city is a treasure for Xiao Ming. He can definitely learn a lot of knowledge and get a lot of good things. He is not afraid of being exposed. Anyway, the highest in the city is only level 7, equivalent to A-level masters. Xiao Ming is no longer afraid. If it were a city with an S-level master, Xiaoming would not be so unscrupulous. Why did A-level Master Bremen only warmly welcome Xiaoming's clone when he arrived, and then treat him coldly? It shouldn't be like that. In fact, it was still inertial thinking. Bremen thought, Xiaoming would not give what he needed, and he didn't need what he might give. And including Bremen, the necromancer system is more selfish. Benefits will never be given to others casually unless they can get more. Xiaoming thought that what Bremen wanted most should be promotion experience, or powerful necromancy, etc. But in fact, Bremen, who has practiced for thousands of years, knows how to promote. What he lacks is enough energy. As long as the death breath is collected, promotion is a piece of cake. But the death breath is very important to all undead. Even if he asks for it from his subordinates, it may force them to rebel. How dare he ask for it from the master's clone? Xiaoming's clone actually gave Delaman a very pure breath of death, but Delaman did not tell Bremen about this. Besides, Bremen did not think that a clone would carry much breath of death. On the contrary, he was afraid that the clone would ask for the breath of death from him, so he hid in the magic tower. As for skills, his magic system is already very complete and sound. If you learn some strange things casually, you may mess up your system. Normal masters who have cultivated to this level are basically like this, and they are not particularly envious of more abilities. And the ability Susanoo used by Xiaoming's clone is indeed very strange, and it doesn't look like undead magic at all. Bremen really has no interest in learning it. Death Harvest is a good magic, but it is suitable for use on the battlefield against other flesh and blood creatures. Now Nuwastar is the world of the undead race. All flesh and blood creatures have only a small amount of scattered territory, and they are actually in a state of feeding. The real wars all broke out between the major undead forces. Death Harvest has no place to use it, and it will not make much difference. Therefore, Bremen only needs the gimmick of the Grand Mage's clone to boost the morale of his own forces and gather people's hearts. As for Xiaoming himself, he actually has no other requests. As for the question of allowing the clone to move around freely, it is even simpler. If he is not allowed to leave, will he not leave? Bremen does not think he can stop the clone of a Grand Mage. Besides, the real secrets of the city are all in his magic tower. Without his permission, the clone cannot enter the magic tower. There is nothing in the city that a Grand Mage has not seen, and there is no need to keep it secret. This is a complete misunderstanding. In fact, Bremen and Xiaoming are a good match. Bremen does not need knowledge, and Xiaoming does not know it either. Bremen needs energy, and Xiaoming has it all. He thinks that there is nothing in the city that Xiaoming needs, but the fact is the opposite. This city of the dead has countless things waiting for Xiaoming to develop. The undead transformed by the shadow clone has invested in various industries in the city. There are very few entertainment industries in the city of the dead. If it were not for the fact that this is Bremen's main city, it is estimated that there would be nothing at all. Industries related to military and production are the mainstay of the city. With the 7 shadow clones as a transit station, the spiritual kingdom can control all the shadow clones so that everyone will not collide and learn the same thing at the same time. In addition, the main goal of the shadow clones is still intelligence, not those particularly confidential and important intelligence, but the general intelligence of Nuwastar. Knowing this, Xiaoming will not be completely in the dark about Nuwastar in the future. Xiaoming still remembers that Nuwastar has an underground cave system. He once possessed Xiaoming and went underground. There are still a large number of orc troops there, and they are fully equipped with weapons and equipment, and their level of civilization is quite good. I don't know what the undead tribe knows about the underground orc forces. Will these orcs also be raised? It is still unknown. In the city, in addition to Bremen, there are many 4-6 level undead wizards. They are the targets of the 3 7-star shadow clones. They don't want to do anything to them. The 3 7-star shadow clones hide their strength and disguise themselves as undead to approach these undead wizards in order to learn more magic from them. Bremen hides in the magic tower, and Xiaoming really can't do anything to him. This magic tower is indeed very attractive to Xiaoming, but he doesn't plan to try to get in at the moment. I haven't finished elementary school or middle school yet, so why rush to go to college? Just the number of necromancers outside is enough for Xiaoming to study for a long time. We'll talk about the magic tower later. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 994. Brother Leader, did something happen to you? Your mental power doesn't seem to be stable. Are you okay? Captain Xian, don't worry. I had an adventure in the reincarnation space. Now my mental power is improving. It's indeed not stable. It's okay. Congratulations, brother, you are indeed a lucky person. You also need to pay attention at this time. If you encounter any problems, don't be polite and just come to me. Thank you, Captain, I will. The two people talking are Captain Xian Ku and Lu Xiaoming of Sheneng 2. At this moment, Huang Xiaoming is still in the secret realm of the legend of the Condor heroes. He is very happy now. Hong Qigong feels that Nan Ziren's wretched fighting style is not compatible with his various martial arts. So he really taught Nan Ziren the 18 dragon subduing palms. This is too generous. The characteristic of the 18 dragon subduing palms is that it is powerful. It is difficult for the enemy to get close to it. Nan Ziren, played by Xiaoming, has sufficient internal strength and is not afraid of attrition war. I just didn't expect that Xiaoming, who has a high IQ, would fall to the point of fighting with the idiot Guo Zheng. It's not shameful. In return, Xiaoming began to teach Mu Nianzi the longevity secret, and at the same time, he didn't hide it from Hong Qigong, but asked Qigong to give him more guidance. In fact, he taught him the longevity secret. Hong Qigong's foundation is external skills, and he has gained good internal strength from the outside to the inside. But in fact, he doesn't have any exclusive internal skills. The longevity secret is just too appropriate. Hong Qigong felt very embarrassed, and after several excuses, he taught him the 18 dragon palms. To be honest, he originally planned to teach Nan Ziren 7 or 8 palms. He had to keep a few moves for later. Now there is no need to keep them. Nan Ziren, who has learned all the 18 dragon palms, knows that his combat power has definitely reached a new level. As long as he practices proficiency, he will not be afraid of facing the 5 supremes. The 3 of them can just work together to practice the longevity secret. Only then did Hong Qigong truly feel the powerful qi in Nan Ziren's body. It was indeed better than his. If Nan Ziren didn't know how to use it, he would not be his opponent at all. However, Hong Qigong had a very solid foundation, and his comprehension was far superior to Xiaoming. He soon practiced the Changsheng Ju Qi to a small degree. Mu Nianzi, who had almost no internal strength, took the express train. Practicing with the two of them, his internal strength increased very quickly. Let's not talk about Huang Xiaoming's happy life, let's talk about Green Xiaoming. He came to the spacecraft several times a day to repair the auxiliary robot, and Captain Xian Ku would use his mental power to pay attention to it from time to time. His mental power was not strong, but as an S-level death god, he could still see the situation inside the Sheneng 2 spacecraft. Since Yin Xiaoming and Hong Xiaoming entered the underworld to undergo transformation, the changes in mental power have been reflected in each Xiaoming. And even Xiaoming could not completely cover up the signs of this change. Captain Xian Ku soon discovered it. In the first few days, he thought that the leader had suddenly broken through some bottleneck, and he didn't care, and was still happy for the leader. With his strength improved, he could make a few more Zanpakuto and sell them to the Xian family. But as time went on, he couldn't help but wonder. It's a breakthrough, Why is it still endless? What are you going to do? Fearing that the leader might go crazy, Captain Xianku took the initiative to invite Xiaoming to the bridge to express his condolences. He also observed carefully. Sure enough, this kid was not crazy, and there was no danger. When he came to Xianku, Xiaoming, whose mental strength had improved, also felt it. He noticed that Xianku's injuries were gradually getting better. Moreover, Xiaoming also found the specific reason. It took a lot of effort for Xianku to move Sheneng out of the world of passengers. He even connected his life with Sheneng. He used his own vitality to maintain the spacecraft. As a result, Sheneng was in an extremely dangerous state, causing Xianku's strength to be seriously dragged down. It was depleted every day. Xianku had no choice but to do this. If the Sheneng spacecraft is destroyed, he, as a high-level reincarnationist, can certainly hide in the reincarnation space, but most of the strength of the Xian family is on this spacecraft, and he can't hide. Especially since his daughter is also there, he has to do this for Xian Shui. This can be regarded as a father's love. Xiaoming is really grateful to Captain Xianku. If it weren't for his operation, his parents would have disappeared with Sheneng. Although from Xianku's perspective, protecting Xiaoming's parents is not his purpose, it's just a side job. When Xiaoming repaired the computer program of Sheneng and solved the problem of the power room, the spacecraft's burden on Xianku was greatly reduced, and Xianku felt it at the time. Since then, the automatic repair of his S-level body has exceeded the loss of the spacecraft to him. Xianku's injuries began to slowly get better. Then, Xiaoming began to repair the auxiliary robots on the spacecraft. As the repaired robots began to work, the state of the spacecraft became better and better, and the burden on Xianku became less and less. The captain's health improved, and everyone with a discerning eye could see it, and the faces of the Xian family members began to smile. Just a few days ago, Xianku finally made arrangements and thoroughly cleaned up some of the Xian family servants who were bribed by the hostile forces. There were originally about 10 Xian family servants busy inside the spacecraft, and 2 of them died in this wave. If the auxiliary robots had not been repaired, Xianku would have had to continue to endure even if he gritted his teeth. Otherwise, there would not be enough people on the spacecraft. Of course, Xianku is currently in the recovery stage. For an S-level master to suffer such a serious injury, it will take some time for him to fully recover. Repay kindness. Xianku knew very well that the person who saved Sheneng and the Shen family must be the brother of this nicknamed leader. Even this brother may not know his own credit. But the Xian family cannot act unconscionably and pretend not to know, just to fool them. From this point of view, although this person has his own little juju, his character is still very reliable. So Xianku took out a treasure that he had treasured for a long time and gave it to Xiaoming. The S-level secret technique in the world of Naruto, reincarnation in the dirty land. This secret technique can be said to be famous. Even Xiaoming had heard of it in the Naruto world. I never expected that I could get such a level of reward just for helping the Xian family repair the spaceship. Don't the Xian family themselves need this thing? In fact, the secret technique of dirt reincarnation is not simple. If it is used outside the world of Naruto, it will have special consumption on reincarnation. Most people really can't stand it. Xianku originally planned that if it didn't work out, he would have to die. Then he can only let his daughter learn this secret technique and seal his soul to her. In this way, the daughter will gain a high-end combat power for nothing, and maybe she can revive the reputation of the Shen family. Now that the problem has been solved, it is safer to give away the secret technique that ordinary people cannot bear. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 995. Reincarnation. After reading the introduction, Xiaoming did not learn such a powerful secret technique immediately. Why? Nothing special, just planning to consider learning the secret technique after successfully taking office as a civil servant in the underworld. Obviously, this is a secret technique that deals with souls. I don't know if it will conflict with the identities of ghost messengers and impermanence. Now that I have learned it, it would be bad if the secret technique is erased after I officially take office as a ghost messenger. Of course, there is another greater possibility. Maybe the secret technique will get additional bonuses due to the identity of a civil servant in the underworld. In that case, it is better to wait until I officially take office before learning it. You can enjoy the bonus. Not every ability will upgrade with the owner. Xiaoming put away the scroll of reincarnation, thought about it, turned his wrist, and took out a Zanpakuto Asadachi that did not recognize the owner. Captain Xin, this is Zanpakuto. You are so amazing. You actually mastered the method of forging so quickly. Xin interrupted Xiaoming with surprise. Seeing him like this, Xiaoming was too embarrassed to say that he had actually made nearly 100 Zanpakuto. He could only smile and say, "This shallow sword is given to the Xin family as a thank you gift. It's just a small gift, not a respect." "Ha ha ha, brother master is too polite, then, I'd rather obey your order." Captain Xianku grabbed the Zanpakuto in his hand and looked at it carefully. Probably wanting to see how good Xiaoming's craftsmanship is. It's really a good sword. The master is really a natural talent. If there are more products in the future, the Xin family will definitely buy them at a high price. Xiaoming's products must be fine products. Xianku was very satisfied with the quality of the Zanpakuto, and by the way, he began to negotiate business. At the same time, he did not forget to remind him. By the way, forging a Zanpakuto will reduce the upper limit of spiritual power. The leader must be extra cautious in the future. Don't hurt yourself. Thank you for the reminder, senior. I will keep it in mind. Xiaoming forging a Zanpakuto will certainly not reduce the upper limit of spiritual power. He is just testing the waters now. The purpose is to exchange for better things in the future. The Xin family is indeed capable. The secret technique of impure world reincarnation comes from the world of Naruto, which is probably not compatible with the path of the god of death that the Xin family takes. If it is a high-level Zanpakuto, he probably won't be willing to give it to Xiaoming. Xiaoming believes that the Xin family still has this level of things. Don't miss it. Speaking of which, until now Xiaoming still doesn't know what Xianku's Zanpakuto looks like. He is still a little curious. Now that the Sheneng 2 spacecraft has been repaired, the spacecraft system is actually Xiao Sheneng. It has long been subject to Xiaoming. Now, at Xiaoming's suggestion, he expressed his willingness to establish an equal cooperation relationship with Captain Xianku. Open the internal system to the Xin family. The first thing the Xin family did was to correct the route. Due to the destruction of hostile forces, the spacecraft had deviated from the original route, and it was time to correct it. In theory, because of the destruction, the spacecraft now has no exact direction. In other words, it can fly anywhere, or even turn around and fly back to Pangu star. However, all the preparations for the Sheneng plan are centered around the Wolf 359 galaxy. There is no benefit in changing the destination rashly. In fact, even if the Xin family wants to return to Pangu star, they will definitely be rejected. The original base has been given up. It can't be taken back. In the end, it was decided that Sheneng 2 would maintain the original plan, recalibrate the route, and continue to go to the Wolf 359 galaxy. People are refreshed when they are happy. Green Xiaoming in high spirits repaired the auxiliary robot, repairing 2 more than before. Zinshui ran to Xiaoming halfway, wanting to play together and go on a reincarnation mission together. He was stopped by his father. The reason is that the leader's mental power is unstable now, and it is not suitable for playing games. Let's wait until the mental power stabilizes. Xian Shui was not very happy, but Xiaoming was relieved. He couldn't even enter the reincarnation space now, so he couldn't play games at all. Maybe he would never be able to enter again in the future. However, Xiaoming was not particularly worried about this. There should be a way. After all, everything about the heaven, the underworld, and the dragon palace was told to him by Zhu. If there is a conflict, he will naturally remind himself. It is impossible that he will not be allowed to enter the reincarnation space after working in the underworld. It is estimated that the current situation is special. Xiaoming's soul must be transformed in the underworld. After the transformation is completed, it will probably not be restricted. With this in mind, Lu Xiaoming returned to the private world. Continue to live his own life. Not long after, Zhang Ma's demon world plants sounded an alarm, and another invader came. Xiaoming used his mental power to scan, and this time there were two humans. One of them was a short old woman, and her combat power was actually at level B. I have seen the other C-level guy before. He is Yuzuki Urameshi, who has a strong blood power and almost blew up Xiaoming's Tsukuyomi world. This guy should have been the protagonist of this world, and I don't know why he came to my place. Looking at the life energy of these two people, they are both kind. The old woman is really kind. But Yuzuki Urameshi can't be said to be particularly kind, but the bad things he has done are all small things, and he has always done good things in big things. The two of them did not hide their tracks along the way, and they came here openly. Xiaoming once again brought a few masters to meet them. Let me introduce my name. The old woman is called Genkai. She is a famous psychic among humans. After tracking down the three treasures of the demon world, the spirit world detective Urameshi Yuzuki was assigned by the spirit world of this world to find Genkai to learn how to use spiritual power. Genkai also likes this junior very much. He can be said to teach him everything he knows. He intends to make him his successor. Recently, someone told Genkai about the Dark Martial Arts Conference. The meaning is also very clear. He just wants them to get involved. So Genkai brought Urameshi to find Xiaoming, hoping to get 1 or 2 tickets to join in the fun. Xiaoming spread his hands and said, I have 5 people here. Genkai took a look and thought, well, it's really a nest of strong people. 1/3 of Zhangzhong is also A level, Neferpitu is A and level. Not to mention Xiaoming, he is invincible below S level, and even S level masters may not be able to take him down. Looking at Kurama and Hai, with the help of Xiaoming, they practiced hard and are now as good as Huan Hai. There is really no extra space. Huan Hai said that in fact, there is another rule in the martial arts competition, that is, each team can bring a substitute, and it is completely possible to form a team of 6 people. After seeing the strength of this team, Huan Hai did not plan to play herself, just take Urameshi to gain some experience. For this reason, she is willing to pass on her experience and skills to Xiaoming and others. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 996. The rejuvenated Huan Hai is still quite beautiful, even Huan Hai himself was stunned in the mirror. This face has returned after decades of absence. Omega wow, Huan Hai exclaimed, Mr. Zhang, what is this method? Rejuvenation. Immortality. Neither, this ability is called rewarding good and punishing evil, but it is just that good is rewarded with good and evil is rewarded with evil. This is the accumulation of your lifelong good deeds, which has extended your life by decades. The restoration of youth is still caused by your own powerful spiritual power. It has nothing to do with me. Damn. Bullshit. Too amazing. What about me? Will I become a child, Urameshi Yuzuki asked, pointing at his nose. Xiaoming smiled and shook his head. No, this ability will not turn people into children. But are you sure you want to try it? It seems that you have done a lot of bad things before. Rewarding good and punishing evil may not be very friendly to you. Urahan was silent for a moment. This kid has been a gangster since he was a child, and he is also a school bully when he goes to school. He has fought a lot. However, this guy never bullies girls, and rarely harasses ordinary classmates. His opponents in fights are all other gangsters, so he is not the type that Xiaoming hates the most. Otherwise, Urameshi Yuzuki might not be able to escape the sword of rewarding good and punishing evil. So Xiaoming did not attack him, but threatened to stop him. Urameshi thought about his usual behavior and was really scared, so he decided to forget it. Huanhai thought thoughtfully, Mr. Zhang, you said that this ability has used up my life's good deeds, does that mean? Xiaoming smiled and replied, you guessed right, your merits in this life have been used up. If you die now, you can't be reborn in a good family in the next life. You have to accumulate good deeds again. But I have confidence in you. Huanhai was stunned and muttered to himself, this is the power that only the spirit world has, your identity is really not simple. How to answer this question? This ability is the result of the fusion of the three treasures of the spirit world, the dark mirror, the demon sword, and the hungry ghost ball. It seems to be right to say that it is the power of the spirit world. But it cannot be confirmed. Xiaoming just smiled and said nothing. So far, Huanhai and Urameshi Yuzuki, the master and apprentice, have also settled in Xiaoming's villa. Another protagonist, Kawabara Kazuma, did not get involved. Xiaoming still does not know about this person. Huanhai's strength may not be the top, but her teaching ability is far beyond all the masters in the villa. Under her guidance, even Zhang Zhong and Neferpitu feel that they have benefited a lot, not to mention these guys with weaker strength. Xiaoming was overjoyed and gave Huanhai the seeds of telekinesis and taught her the method of practicing the heart source flow. He wanted to see what kind of fruit telekinesis could bear on this master. Two flowers bloom, each showing its own branch. Let's talk about Huang Xiaoming. He played Nanziren, who was practicing martial arts with Hong Qigong and Mu Nianzi while advancing to the south. The destination is the Iron Palm Peak, located in the south of Jingxiang. It is obvious that Xiaoming came here for the Wu Mu's testament, which is now lying in the forbidden area of the Iron Palm Peak. Finally, Xiaoming also enjoyed the benefits of being familiar with the plot. Of course, this is also because his game cabin is special. Even if other players want to, they do not have the authority to enter the forbidden area of the Iron Palm Peak. I don't want the plot character Nanziren to be so free. Hong Qigong, Nanziren, and Mu Nianzi have arrived near the Iron Palm Peak and found an inn to stay. Qiuqinren, the leader of the Iron Palm Gang, is second only to the 5 great masters of the Central Plains. The 3 did not dare to be careless and planned to make full preparations before going up the mountain to steal treasures. Hong Qigong could have defeated Qiuqinren completely, and now his skills have greatly improved, and he is really eager to fight with Qiuqinren. Xiaoming's 18 dragon subduing palms is temporarily somewhat proficient, and he can last many rounds in sparring with Hong Qigong. Combined with his own hidden weapon skills, I think Qiuqinren may not be able to defeat him. However, Xiaoming would not fight if he could. The opponent's light skill is very good, so don't capsize. Although the apprentice Mu Nianzi has made great progress in martial arts, her foundation is too weak after all. Now her martial arts are not even half of what Yin's Haiping had when he entered the desert. Xiaoming is worried about her being alone, so he naturally wants to take her with him. The plan this time is that the 3 of them will come to visit the leader of the Iron Palm Gang in the name of the leader and elder of the Beggar Gang to exchange feelings. Try to stay for a day or 2. At night, Hong Qigong will hold Qiuqinren, and he will wait for an opportunity to steal the treasure. For the specific action, Xiaoming plans to adapt to the situation at that time. It is impossible to do whatever you want. The scene changes, and in a high-end bedroom of a high-end hotel, on the big bed, a beautiful woman with white skin, beautiful face, and long legs is practicing a split. This woman has a beautiful face and an excellent figure, especially a pair of long legs in tight black leather pants and high heels, which can be more than 3 meters apart. The whole bed couldn't fit. A handsome man with a very unique look was kneeling at the head of the bed, holding up half of her long legs that had nowhere to go. The most terrifying thing was that this beautiful woman was not idle with her mouth. She made ah-ah sounds while stretching her legs, which made people's hearts flutter like deer. However, on the other side of the bedroom, Red Xiaoming and Silver Xiaoming stared at this magical scene in amazement. Soon, Green Xiaoming and Yellow Xiaoming also appeared. Behind them, there was a cow covered with tiger skin and a horse covered with tiger skin. They were Jun Jun and Lu Shu. Behind them, there were 3 source energy trees, 2 pots of source energy flowers, and a source energy seed that had just sprouted. The 2 different scenes are clearly separated, and there is a light curtain in the middle that I don't know if it can be considered a barrier. This side is the world in the deepest part of Xiaoming's soul. The other side should also be the soul world of a certain powerful person. It's just that the painting style is quite strange and bizarre. The beauty turned her head and continued to stretch her legs while smiling at Xiaoming and others. My name is Acha, wait for me for a while, it will be fine in a while, ah. Xiaoming's 4 souls couldn't help but look at each other a few times, all with black lines on their heads. WTF. The soul world was actually connected by someone else. Silver Xiaoming and Red Xiaoming, who were undergoing transformation in the underworld, appeared directly in the depths of their own souls. At the same time, the intuitive warning pulled back the souls of Green Xiaoming and Yellow Xiaoming, who were still in the outside world at the moment. Facing this beauty, even if the other party did not show any momentum, the 4 souls could not help but tremble. Intuitively, this must be a powerful person beyond the S level, and it might be easier for her to kill herself than flicking a finger. How did she connect directly to her soul world without any warning? This had never happened before. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 997. Oh, it feels good after a while. The girl named Acha finally finished yoga, shook her head, twisted her neck, stretched her arms and legs, and sat up straight. Sorry for the wait. Acha smiled and asked, Zhang Xiaoming, who are you? You can even mend my gloves. What? What the hell is mending gloves? Who are you? Do all the great ones speak in such a jumpy way? Xiaoming was confused. How dare you? How can you talk like that? The handsome guy next to him immediately scolded, this is the famous king of the underworld, my lord Acha. At asterisk, Xiaomings were all confused. Why didn't I know that the king of hell was a girl? Acha raised her hand to stop the handsome guy from flattering her, smiled cutely, and said, I am the Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva in the legend of Pangustar. Haha, you must think I don't look like it. This name is not chosen by me. Because almost no ghost messengers of Pangustar have seen my true face, so you passed it on and it became this name. In fact, I have always called myself the Hades. This is the ghost messenger Zhao Li. This is quite decent. He Vuchain also said that Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva wanted to see him in person. It seems that this is really this beautiful woman. And the handsome guy turned out to be Zhao Li. The 4 Xiaomings, including Lu Shu and Zhen Zheng, bowed together and saluted, greetings, Lord Hades. Seeing that Xiaoming seemed to have never heard of these 2 names, Acha smiled again, it seems that you have not experienced Soul Fairy yet. I know you have a lot of questions, listen to me slowly. Acha changed her posture and stretched out her hand. Zhao Li quickly came over and lit a cigarette for her. Cigarettes are probably not harmful to Hades. Actually, I seldom come out to see people. Back then, I was a reincarnationist like you. This image was also cosplayed by a character in the plot. Later, I became Hades. What? Xiaoming was confused. Wasn't this Cha girl too terse in her words? Is that all? Cha took a puff of cigarette and continued, you should have heard of the Infinity Stones, right? Xiaoming nodded to indicate that he had heard of them. In fact, in the real world, there are also such Infinity Stones that can emit endless energy. The Dragon Palace calls them Source Energy, and the Heavenly Court calls them Innate Treasures. Infinity Stones are my name. I copied the term from the world of reincarnation. This sentence is a bit interesting. Innate magic weapons are simply well known in legends, and Infinity Stones are also so powerful in the Marvel Universe that they are the source energy. Xiaoming couldn't help but wonder, then which Infinity Stone, or which innate treasure, is the silver source energy that is born in his body? Or just keep listening obediently. The universe is so vast that we don't know exactly how many Infinity Stones there are. In our corner, there are 4 well-known ones. The Orange Soul Stone, also known as the Book of Life and Death, is the foundation of our underworld. The 6 reincarnations revolve around the Soul Stone. The reason why we can meet each other in our respective soul worlds is also due to the power of the Soul Stone. The so-called underworld and the Soul Stone are the same existence. We can say that we are all in the Soul Stone at this moment. The Purple Power Stone, also known as the Pangu Banner, is in charge of the Heavenly Court. Since you don't have a position in the Heavenly Court, I won't tell you more. The Green Time Stone, namely the Chaos Clock, is the cornerstone of the reincarnation space. You are more familiar with this. It's a pity that I missed it back then. There is also a Blue Space Stone, also known as the Tai Chi Diagram. You should have seen the space transmission network that spreads throughout the universe. That's it? You must be confused. Why are the colors of the infinite gems in reality the same as those in the reincarnation world? Why do the infinite gems, the innate treasures, turn into flowers, plants, and trees in your soul world? The answer to this question is actually very simple. Infinite gems, source energy, and innate treasures are just names given to them by humans. It is spread across a large universe, and it seems to be just a singularity. In fact, this kind of thing has no specific shape and color, and it cannot be seen by the naked eye. Different people will feel different. The color is the same, but it is because you, as a member of the human race, are affected by the consciousness of all humans. In terms of color, humans have the same recognition, so the color is consistent, but in terms of appearance, human cognition is varied, so you just play it yourself. Oh my God! This is a bit of information. But Xiaoming thought about it carefully. It makes sense. High-end and classy things like source energy really can't be characterized by superficial human cognition. Different people see different appearances, which is quite reasonable. Source energy, infinite gems, innate treasures, these are nothing more than different names. It is normal for such a powerful thing to have multiple different names. Remember the Fuxi-Qin? It presents a completely different appearance in the eyes of the 3 tribes of humans, gods, and insects. That can be regarded as a reminder to Xiaoming in advance. By the way, silver, yellow, and red are also the source energies I possess. Why didn't my master Acha mention them? Xiaoming was about to ask a question, and Acha seemed to see through his thoughts and said directly. You are right. Your silver, yellow, and red source energies are also the first time I have seen them in the real world. Can you tell me how they came from? It is precisely because I saw 3 kinds of source energies that I have never seen before that I took the initiative to meet you, a junior. Otherwise, you can only hear my soul transmission. At this moment, Xiaoming was in a soul state, and he didn't know how to lie. Besides, facing such a powerful person, he didn't think it was necessary to lie. So, Xiaoming told Pluto Acha the origins of these three sources of energy. He spoke very carefully, this was not the time to be ambiguous. After listening to Xiaoming's story, Acha nodded and summarized. The silver source energy is what you are born with, and I can't match it to the same one. But the other two do match the infinity stones. The red source energy from the little spider you mentioned should be the reality stone, and the corresponding treasure is Qian Kun Ding. The one that the three cosmic races of humans, gods, and insects are fighting for is probably the yellow mind stone, and you also know the corresponding Fuxi Qin. By the way, your ability is also unheard of and unseen. It's so easy to get the recognition of the infinity stones. As Pluto, I have lived for hundreds of millions of years longer than you. Shut up, don't say I'm old, and don't imagine me as an old lady in your heart. By the way, I have lived for so long, and in addition to the orange soul stone, I only got a few fragments of the power stone. You can actually have 6 kinds. God is so unfair. Mourning the martyrs and compatriots who died in the fight against the new crown epidemic. I have no regrets about coming to China in this life, and I will still be a Chinese in the next life. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 998. Infinity Stones, innate treasures, and source energy are wonders of the universe. They have endless energy, and almost no one knows their origins. Later, a powerful person appeared in the world and felt the existence of the infinity stones, so he sacrificed them into magic weapons, either for cultivation or for fighting with others. This is the most superficial way to use the infinity stones. In the Marvel universe, most masters use the infinity stones at this level. However, this kind of high-end and classy magic weapon usually has spirituality. It is hard to say whether it has a soul, but the infinity stones will develop their own personality over time. Theoretically, because the infinity stones can provide unlimited energy, each stone has the ability to create the world directly out of thin air. However, not every stone wants to create the world. They each focus on different directions. This can barely be regarded as the origin of its personality. When the infinity stones have personality, their users may not be able to use them for a long time. The infinity stones in Marvel are obviously still very young and their personalities are not very clear. The infinity stones in the real world are different. Once the personalities are not compatible, the infinity stones are likely to abandon their users at any time and look for more suitable masters. Even a gem no longer has only one user. It can be transformed into millions of people, allowing many creatures to use its power at the same time. In fact, few people can hold the infinity stones for a long time. Because when ordinary people have such powerful power, their desires will soar, and they will continue to use it to fight bravely. Coincidentally, no infinity stone likes this kind of owner, and the gem will eventually leave this person. Even the cornerstone of the heavenly court, the power stone / Pangu banner, the name clearly means that it likes fighting, but it actually doesn't like fighting and killing. Only when the user's personality matches the personality of the infinity stone can it be held for a long time. Sometimes, the infinity stones even become masters themselves, and the so-called users are just its tools. In the real world, the 4 gems that my master Acha was originally familiar with have surpassed the status of the infinity stones in the Marvel universe. For example, the space stone / Tai Chi diagram used to build a cosmic transmission network is probably dominated by the user. His user used the power of the space gem to build a network that connects the entire universe, so that there can be a channel for communication between various civilizations and powerful people in the universe. This seems to be very consistent with the personality of the space gem. As a result, this innate treasure called the Tai Chi diagram has honestly become a transportation hub for the entire universe. And this user is a figure from ancient times. Now he has long passed away, or he has traveled to other universes to play. Crossing the universe should be very simple for him. In short, this universe transmission network is his legacy to the universe. However, there are not many people who know that he once existed. And all of these people are ancient powers. Even my master Acha has only heard of him and has never met him. The reincarnation space goes one step further than the transmission network. Regarding the time gem/chaos clock, Acha also revealed a secret to Xiaoming. Because Acha used to be a reincarnator, she later carefully investigated the reincarnation space, so she knew some inside information. The Dragon Clan is just one of the managers of the reincarnation space, and it is indeed the one with the greatest authority, but there are other forces that also participate in the management of the reincarnation space. The one who controlled the time gem was an ancient dragon clan. In that era, it should be said that he was a dragon clan, and there was no second dragon in the universe at that time. His ambition is relatively big. According to the situation of the reincarnation space, this guy is likely to be a time traveler. Or he has obtained a lot of memories of a time traveler. He has a very open mind and knows a lot of things. Even the concept of the entire reincarnation space should come from another world. People are so annoying when compared to others. Look at this time traveler, and then think about the Zhang-san I met before. Xiaoming couldn't help but sigh, they are both time travelers, why is the gap so big? The power of the Chaos Bell is not enough to complete the construction of the entire reincarnation space, so the energy of the three gems of power, soul, and space is also borrowed in the reincarnation space. Of course, because it is borrowed, Qingxinglu did not obtain the power of other infinite gems, and the authority of the reincarnation space should be divided to others accordingly. Therefore, the heaven and the underworld also have their own forces in the reincarnation space. They are responsible for maintaining the power from their own infinite gems. In the same way, the three families have their own spokespersons, but they differ in the authority they control. For the reincarnation world, the ancient dragon sacrificed everything he had. In exchange for the survival rights of his descendants, the dragon clan, in the reincarnation space. Therefore, the current dragon clan is really just the manager of the reincarnation space. They are far less knowledgeable and authoritative about the time gem than their ancestors. They have never even seen their ancestors. Similarly, as a reincarnationist, Acha has naturally never seen the face of the dragon clan. All he heard were legendary news. Of course, at their level, legends are no longer hearsay. They may have some misunderstandings, but they almost never lie. Let's talk about the cornerstone of the underworld, the soul gem/book of life and death, which is more powerful than the previous two. The space gem and the time gem are both used by people, even though they are willing to do so. But the soul gem is different. The so-called underworld and the so-called underworld are simply part of the soul gem. In other words, the soul gem is the underworld, and it is the maker of the rules of the entire underworld. It controls the reincarnation of souls. However, the reincarnation of souls under the control of the soul gem is not the same as the 6 reincarnations that humans usually talk about. Even if there is no king of hell, judge, or ghost messenger, the soul gem can still maintain the normal operation of the underworld. All the civil servants in the underworld, including my master Acha, are working for the soul gem. It's just that the mentality of the civil servants coincides with the personality of the soul gem. So the soul gem gives the civil servants the authority to use their own power. Within the scope of the granted authority, civil servants can also carry out processing that suits their own wishes. The so-called 6 reincarnations are processed by a master himself. He existed earlier than Acha, and now I don't know if he is still alive. Anyway, Acha couldn't contact him, and didn't know his background, he was just working under the rules set by him. If that great man was called Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva, it actually made sense. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 999. My Lord Acha, are you saying that Hades, the king of Hades in Saint Seiya, is actually from our underworld? Now that she has joined the underworld, Xiaoming has to follow the local customs and also respectfully address her as my Lord Acha. Of course. As I mentioned to you, you can actually use the time stone to create an underworld to manage souls, but that would be unprofessional and extremely laborious. So, Xiaoming saw Acha deliberately paused and quickly picked up the conversation to avoid dropping it on the ground. If he didn't answer it, Li Zhao would probably pick it up. So everything related to the underworld in the world of reincarnation actually originates from our underworld, right? Probably because it had been too long, Acha got a little tired from sitting and actually lay down on the big bed. Facing Xiaoming's soul world. The ghost officer Zhao Li was very discerning and quickly stepped forward to massage Acha's shoulders, back and neck. The technique is quite authentic, and it seems that I do it frequently. Speaking of giving massages to beautiful women and flattering the boss, Xiaoming is also a little interested. It's a pity that there is a barrier in the middle and he can't get through. Just listen to Acha say. Not bad, I'm not stupid at all. That's right, even Hades is played by the clone of our civil servant. It's a pity that King Xinglu refuses to accept me, it's stingy. Well, my Lord Acha, after becoming a civil servant in the underworld, can't he continue to be a reincarnation? Xiaoming asked with a little worry. That's not true. You are still weak, so it shouldn't matter. We are actually considered gods now, and the soul gems will accumulate merit and improve our strength based on our performance. However, this may conflict with the power given to reincarnation by the reincarnation space. Therefore, after S level, it is better for you to focus on a certain source of energy. Speaking of this, she glanced at the 6 energy sources behind Xiaoming, and immediately became angry again. Do you think that everyone is like you and can actually acquire 6 types of source energy? To be honest, even I can't do your ability to emit primitive source energy. What on earth are you? This matter has actually been discussed several times, and I can't figure out the reason at all. There should still be something special about Zhang Xiaoming. However, Acha would be unhappy every time he mentioned it, so Xiaoming quickly changed the subject. My lord, you haven't said anything about the power stone yet. Tell me and give some advice to this junior. Acha didn't know what Xiaoming meant, and felt a little out of sorts. He gave Xiaoming a charming look and replied. Didn't I tell you before that you still have a chance to join heaven? Regarding the situation of the power gem, it's better not to tell you. If I tell you the personality of the power stone, it will be self-defeating if you deliberately cooperate. It may be difficult to enter heaven in the future. Xiaoming just wanted to distract Acha, but he was still very interested in Tianting. Not wanting to ruin his chances, he turned the topic to several other infinity stones. My Lord Acha asked, explained, and analyzed them one by one. The red reality gem / Kinkan cauldron is good at creating things out of thin air. Little Spider is in a universe that is very short of resources, and his heart is filled with the idea of helping all those who are in trouble. It probably fits the personality of the reality stone. So the reality stone opened up some permissions to her. This authority is not large, but it is very deep. Xiaoming followed Xiao Zhu and got a big deal. As for his mentality, it can only be regarded as barely qualified. There is still a big difference between obtaining source energy seeds and having someone guide you and understanding it yourself. The reason why Xiaoming has access to so much source energy must have a lot to do with Xiaoming's natural possession of silver source energy. I have never heard of the silver infinity stones, and there is no relevant description even in the Marvel universe. It is a brand new source of energy. By the way, the Infinity Stones in all the Marvel worlds in the reincarnation space are simulated in the reincarnation space and do not have the powerful power of the real Infinity Stones. Acha said that the abilities of the Infinite Stones only have their own specialties. In fact, there is no absolute limit. It is normal for them to be able to simulate each other. Xiaoming's silver source energy currently does not show any personality. It is likely to be an original infinite gem, or even a rough stone that has not yet been fully formed, a rough jade. I don't know what kind of luck Xiaoming got. Acha guessed that it was probably Xiaoming who had accumulated dozens of lifetimes of luck to achieve this. So Acha took a cursory look at Xiaoming's previous lives and found that none of them were bad people, but not all of them were absolutely good people. On the contrary, most people are homebodies who do nothing. This made Master Acha very unhappy. How could such a person have such great blessings? It was depressing. The last yellow soul stone / Fuxi was actually brought by the three races of alien gods and insects from the more distant universe 1.5 million years ago. Its permissions were divided into three parts by the competition between the three races. The descendants of each race used their respective permissions to create some applications, also called apps. Xiaoming doesn't know everything about this. He only knows that humans have made a virtual game Magic Planet. The Zerg also has Zerg game, and the Zerg spiritual sea actually comes from Fuxican. The gods also created Protus God's domain. Compared with Heaven, Underworld, and Dragon Palace, these are only small-scale applications. In fact, there are some other apps, but Xiaoming doesn't know about them yet. From Acha's perspective, this source energy is yellow, which means that its strengths are indeed in the spiritual aspect. These apps are quite professional. As they chatted, Acha took out a golden metal glove from somewhere and put it on his right hand. There is a round hole on the back of the glove and at the base of the 5 fingers. It should be used for inlay. Now the base of the little finger has been inlaid with an orange gem the size of a quail egg. The base of the index finger is also inlaid with a pea-sized purple gem. The other 4 positions have only a little light, which are blue, red, yellow, and silver. Xiaoming, thanks to you, my infinite glove can barely be used now. How about it? Do you have any wishes? Tell your sister, I can help you realize a wish. These words made Xiaoming confused. Judging from the gems on the gloves and the color of the light, it should have a lot to do with his source energy. But what the hell is realizing a wish? In the secret realm of Dragon Ball, there is a saying that if you collect 7 Dragon Balls, you can summon a dragon and make a wish come true. Is it the same with my Lord Acha's Infinity Gauntlet? As long as you collect the power of 6 Infinity Stones, you can also make a wish come true. That's something to think about. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1000. This pair of infinite gloves was naturally obtained by Acha from a Marvel world when he was still a reincarnationist. After being certified by the reincarnation space, the function of this pair of gloves has changed slightly. It no longer needs to be inlaid with a whole infinite gem, and of course the power will be greatly reduced accordingly. As long as a part of the authority of the infinite gem is obtained, it can be used to support the consumption of the infinite gloves. After all, it is impossible to get the whole infinite gem in the real world. From the reincarnation world, only some fragments or incomplete versions can be brought out. For such a powerful thing, any one of them will have a huge impact on the real world, and the cost of bringing it out is almost unbearable. Moreover, this kind of treasure will naturally be restricted. It cannot be used at will in reality, and there are huge restrictions on buying, selling and exchanging. In addition, the difficulty of obtaining it will continue to accumulate, and the difficulty of obtaining each new gem will be several times higher than the one that has been obtained before. Basically, if a reincarnationist can really obtain all 6 infinite gems, the resources consumed and his own strength can almost do what the infinite gloves can do. This is the rule of the reincarnation space. Even a powerful person like Acha, after obtaining the Infinity Gauntlet, tried to get the Infinity Gems from the reincarnation space by drilling holes in the mountains, but she didn't get any. Later, Acha was recruited by the Soul Gem to become a civil servant in the underworld. Then he gave up his identity as a reincarnator. This supply channel was cut off. Although Xiao Ming had experienced the reincarnation world of the Marvel series once, he had never heard of what the Infinity Gauntlet was. He also asked my Lord Acha to popularize it for him. However, Acha's personality prefers to play pranks. For big things like the Infinity Gems, she doesn't joke and can tell Xiao Ming directly. But she won't do something like spoilers like the Infinity Gauntlet. She just briefly talked about the effects and usage of the gloves. But even if she didn't say it, Xiao Ming probably understood it. The Infinity Gauntlet, as long as 6 Infinity Gems are inlaid, can gain tremendous power and do things that ordinary masters can't do at all. It's not an exaggeration to say that it is a universal wishing machine. Because of her status as the Hades of the underworld, Acha naturally obtained the authority of the Soul Gem, and an orange quail egg appeared at the base of the little finger of the Infinity Glove. Later, by chance and hard work, Acha also got a position in the Heavenly Court, but it was far inferior to her achievements in the underworld. So a purple pea also appeared at the base of the index finger. Unfortunately, the Dragon Palace is quite exclusive. Acha can be a reincarnationist, but if she wants to work in the reincarnation space, sorry, she can't. Some people may ask, doesn't the underworld also have authority in the reincarnation space? Why can't Acha get a position? The situation is like this. The Dragon Palace took advantage of the reincarnation space and cultivated a large number of masters from the clan. Among them was the existence that obtained the recognition of the Soul Gem before Acha. They have already controlled the authority of the underworld in the reincarnation space. If Acha wants to get a position in the reincarnation space, I don't know how many waves of masters will die before it will be her turn. Even if it was her turn, she might not be able to compete with other dragon civil servants in the underworld, because they had the advantage of people over her. In addition, the universe transmission network was completely wooden, and the permissions were almost all locked. Acha had no way to get his hands on the blue infinite gem. He didn't have Xiao Ming's ability to buy a transmission device and extract the source energy inside to his soul world. Since it was a long way off to get all 6 gems, Acha didn't bother about it. She had never thought about this matter in the past few thousand years. In fact, even if the gems were not complete, the infinite gloves were still very powerful treasures. Unfortunately, Acha's current realm was relatively high, and she could no longer use the infinite gloves. It was not until the Soul Gem selected Zhang Xiaoming as the object of investigation that she paid attention to this special little guy Zhang Xiaoming. At this point in time, Xiaoming merged the 3 treasures in the world of Yu Yu Hakusho, the Dark Mirror, the Demon Sword, and the Hungry Ghost Ball, into the Sword of Rewarding Good and Punishing Evil. The Sword of Rewarding Good and Punishing Evil was formed by the spontaneous fusion of source energy according to Xiao Ming's ideas. This point just matches the personality of the Soul Gem. The inspection began automatically. As the saying goes, if you do good intentionally, you will not be rewarded even if it is good. If you do evil unintentionally, you will not be punished even if it is evil. The inspection of the infinite gems is like this. You can't do it deliberately, it can only be a spontaneous behavior. This is also the reason why Acha didn't tell Xiao Ming the standards of the heaven. What she never expected was that this little guy actually improved so fast and so special. He actually got a piece of the underworld and started working ahead of time, forcing Acha to arrange an interview in advance. Save face for the underworld. During the transformation of the underworld, Xiao Ming tried to continuously release red source energy, but the Soul Gem did not have the interest of the reincarnation space. The reincarnation space requires a variety of source energies, which are used to create the reincarnation world, so Xiaoming will get such a great reward as the source energy seed. But the soul gem does not need additional source energy, so naturally it will not reward Xiaoming's own source energy seeds. Of course, it didn't take advantage of Xiaoming. All the energy Xiaoming contributed was used to transform Xiaoming's underworld. Xiaoming was also fighting with the soul gem before, and it was also because he had nothing to do and was bored. Since the red source energy didn't react, then try other sources. So I tried silver, green, and yellow. The soul gem still didn't react. The one that did react was my master Acha's Infinity Gauntlet. She happened to be sandwiched between Xiaoming and the soul gem, and she happened to have the treasure of the Infinity Gauntlet. The original source energy emitted by Xiaoming was intercepted a little by the Infinity Gauntlet before reaching the soul gem. So 4 rice-sized lights were lit on the Infinity Gauntlet. If there was no Infinity Gauntlet, Acha probably couldn't sense the original source energy. Not to mention intercepting it halfway. Now the 6 gem positions are full. It's just that her original orange and purple gems are permanent and will continue to receive energy from the Infinity Gem. But the other 4 light spots are only temporary. Once they are used up, they are gone. Acha carefully felt it. If it was a normal small wish, about 2-3 could be realized. Drinking water and remembering its source, she didn't want to take advantage of Xiaoming for nothing, so she decided to give one of the wishes to Xiaoming. Of course, the prerequisite is that this wish must be small first, and wishes such as world peace cannot be realized. Secondly, it is best not to involve others in this wish. At the level of Acha, try to avoid interfering with human affairs and involving too many causes and effects. Xiaoming fell into deep contemplation.